Right.
1, he's powerful enough to do it. 1, 2, he knows enough to make sure it happens. 3, he's a God of sovereignty, as we've seen here. He's a God of providence. So there's nothing that you can do or anyone can do that can take out of the plan that God has. So if God says, I'm going to do this, we can stand on the fact that he's going to do this. When God said to Abraham, I'm going to make you a great nation, we can stand on it.
Right.
When and how, we don't know. We're back.
Again.
XYZ Nation,
What's up?
Generation XYZers, XYZ people.
They got to come up with their name. Y'all got to give us some in the
I
comments.
feel like, how many names do y'all want them to have? We already got XYZ Nation. We got XYZers. That's enough.
I guess.
Are we being greedy?
Maybe a little.
Has Joseph taught us nothing?
Okay, I give you win. Throw Joseph back in my
That is a good one.
Oh man. Next episode, we're working on this now and presenting it to you all on the worldwide interwebs. When I move, you move.
Just like that.
Yeah.
Opening question. We're going to be talking about the movement of all of Joseph's family, including Jacob, from Canaan to Goshen to Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
I personally haven't experienced a move that's been that drastic. Have either of you have had an experience of a move like that?
Yeah. I had a big move because we came to America when I was 5, right?
Okay.
And at 5, you don't necessarily remember too much,
Right.
but you remember enough.
Okay.
And so we basically uprooted because we never went back. It was just we're moving to America. And my parents told me, first of all, they try to bribe me and say that when you come to America, you're going to see Michael Jackson. And like, he was like, they were just telling me all the things that happen in America from the things I've saw in like TV and movies and stuff. So I was like, okay, America. But we're just going to visit in my head.
Oh.
I wasn't really thinking of staying here. Like, all my friends, and they had like farewell parties, but I don't think as a 5-year-old I was understanding farewell parties. Like, I was just like, we'll be back. Like,
Yeah.
not knowing that we're uprooting our lives and moving here.
Wow.
And the first, like, we registered for school and all that.
Mhm.
Then I had to start going to school here, and I had an accent. So people used to like talk about my accent. So then I didn't talk a lot because people didn't like my accent, or I guess they just didn't. They weren't used to it.
understand
Yeah.
Right.
And so I was getting pulled out of class to do like speech training or like whatever they called
What?
it. Yes, it was actually a terrible experience coming to America and going to school. So I had the speech trainings. They told us like, don't speak your language at home. So I don't even speak my languages now because my parents were listening to the instructions of the people versus just doing what we were doing. And then I used to cry a lot because I'd be like, when am I going back? I don't want to be here. And I would get sent to the nurse's office because I would cry so much that I would get fevers. Like,
Oh, wow.
I was like, I did not want to be here at all. But I'm here still. And now I don't even know my family like that. So it's kind of like, I don't know. I feel like I blame my parents a little bit. Like, they didn't foster the environment for us to keep in touch with people.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, we just didn't have that environment. Like, people called every once in a while, but it was always like to talk to my parents, to ask for money, or like, it wasn't like, oh, we're just getting to know y'all. What are y'all up to? That wasn't really happening.
Wow.
So
How often do you go back to the area? Do you?
I only went back. So the first time I went back was that the first time? Yeah, I think the first time I went back was when my mom passed.
Okay.
Because we took her back to Nigeria.
Okay.
Then I went back again, I think 2 times by myself, which was interesting because like it wasn't somewhere I was used to being.
Right.
So I had one uncle who used to, like, if I come back, he was like my person, like
Right.
take me around,
Right,
even though
right.
he was a little crazy, got me in a lot of situations I shouldn't have been in. But he made it,
That
made sure
uncle?
he was my dad's, one of my dad's younger brothers, and he's like way younger. Like he's kind of closer to my age a little bit.
Oh wow.
But
Okay.
not, I think he's closer to my age than he is my dad's age. So
Okay.
somewhere in
Okay.
between, like probably like my sister's age.
Right.
But yeah, nah, he's wild. He's wild, but he always made sure I was all right, even though
Okay,
I
good.
was almost not all right a couple times.
Oh,
Like I came back, it was years before I told my dad stuff that happened on them trips, because I was like, yo, brother tried to get me killed.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, every time I've gone to Nigeria, it's been very, like, a lot. It felt like a movie.
Huh.
I had a lot of movie experiences.
Really?
Yes, like when
That's
we went
cool.
for my mom's funeral,
Kind of cool.
it's not really cool though. Like it's like if I tell the story, it'd be like, what?
Okay.
That's crazy. That sounds like a movie. Like we went for my mom's funeral and we got stopped by like the military because we had like a caravan, like just to be safe. We had an escort like going around with us wherever we went. And then that basically put a target on our backs. It's like, why do y'all have police escorts? And it's like, to keep us safe from people like you.
Right.
And yeah, nah, guns were drawn. It was crazy. It was very crazy.
Whoa, yeah, a movie.
Yeah, a
For
movie.
real.
It was a movie.
Sheesh.
Wow.
It was a movie. But it's a fun story to tell now that I'm not dead. I'm
Yeah.
still alive. Look, God brought me through
Hey.
Joseph
There you
moment.
go. Yeah.
There you
a
go.
lot of stuff.
I'm here
Yeah,
feeling
man.
like dismayed, like Jacob.
I know.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. And that wasn't even the first. That was the first time. But the next time I went by myself with my uncle, like having me out where I shouldn't have been out, we almost got robbed. And again, literally, when I say literally, somebody had a gun on my back.
Ooh.
And I just stopped. Like I was just froze. And I had all the money I had in like my purse in front of me.
Yep.
But thankfully, someone ran out and started screaming. Because if you get caught robbing in Nigeria, they will cut your hands off. Like,
Oh,
it's
wow.
not like you just go to jail. You can get your hands cut off. You can get killed. So the person ran. And it was only by, again, the grace of God that somebody was like, okay, I'm not going to. Because when the person came, everybody scattered. And I didn't know to scatter.
Right,
I don't
you
know.
didn't know to
Like, I
run.
don't know that somebody's coming to rob people. So literally everybody ran but me and my uncle. And my uncle don't have no sense because he be drinking. And I was the DD basically. And I end up in this situation. And then after that, I stopped carrying around money
Right.
because most of the time I wasn't spending money anyway. I just didn't know how to move in these spaces.
Right.
And then I stopped being out late because I ain't had no business being out late.
Wow.
And I told my dad later down in life, and he was like, what? Like, yeah, no, it's crazy. But our uncle was walking everywhere we went for the rest of that trip. He's like, can you believe this happened? I'm like, this is not a story that I'm ready to relive over and over. Like, it wasn't exciting for me. It wasn't. It's exciting now because I'm not taking my butt back.
Yeah, not too many people have stories like that.
I'm
but
not
still.
going back. Now I'm not going back and doing the things. Like, I'm not gonna be out late. Like, people
Yeah.
warn you about like knowing the company you keep, because I
Yeah.
could be out late with certain people in certain environments, but the
Right.
places he was going,
Yeah,
I
that's
shouldn't
not a
have been
place
there.
should have gone.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
That's
Movie.
crazy.
Literally movie.
Wow.
Right. Ugh.
But yeah, that was my move. America's way. I mean, we don't think America's safe. Like but I feel like there's more safety just because now I'm comfortable and I know what's going on here.
Right.
So it's the safety of, I'm not going to go to certain places because I know I shouldn't be in those places.
Right.
Whereas now Nigeria to me is the unsafe place because I don't know how to move.
Don't know how to move.
Right.
there.
That makes sense.
Don't know
Yeah.
when to scatter like everyone else.
Mm.
Yeah.
This is those TikToks where just somebody runs for no reason,
Yes.
Yeah.
and usually black folk don't even ask. They
Just
just
start running.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
And
ain't
be
get that
like-
memo.
You running for something.
Uh-huh.
I'm not gonna stand around and
And
wait
wait
to
for-
see what it is.
Yep.
You running? I'm
running.
running.
Yep.
We out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, that is
Yeah.
wild.
That is crazy.
Okay. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
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 We grown didn't even get that story. That's crazy.
Oh, we got
Exclusive.
We got the exclusive.
Yes.
You heard it here first, folks. Oh, man. But it was a testimony. It is a testimony.
It is.
To
It
God,
is.
to God. So, again, we are going through verse 46. When you move, I move.
Just like that.
Oh, I like that. When you don't hate.
I know. We're the party. We're the party.
That's funny.
Right. So we're going to open up with Genesis 46 verses 1 through 4.
Did I miss our introductions?
I sure did.
Oh.
I was
just
like, I didn't
gave the
say my
title.
name. Resident Millennial.
I'm so shook.
Not me with the memory.
Yeah, you with the
It's
memory.
usually not me.
No.
No, I
You
have
doing
terrible
good today
memory.
because I was shook. I was really after those stories. I was like, what do? I just lost all bearing. But we'll start in the opposite order today.
Uh-oh.
At the end, we have
You're Gen Zer. I am the microwaver.
yeah,
Jasmine.
yay.
Yeah, and I am.
Yes.
No, it's extended today. And I am Moya, the resident millennial.
The resident
Gang, gang.
I
millennial.
like that.
Ah. I feel like we should. I'm like basketball. And now, next up, we have the microwaver.
Oh my god.
And now, the resident millennial. And I am the latchkey one himself, Gen X. Almost said Z. Gen X. Chris, one of your
The
co-hosts as
former
well.
X-Men.
The former X-Men. How many names you want me to have? How many names you want me to have?
Exactly. I said former. You don't want to switch.
Oh, man. So we are generational scriptures because I don't even think I said who we were. Generational scriptures representing Gen X, Gen Y, and Gen Z
Yeah.
on a podcast as we walk through scripture.
Yeah.
Bringing our own little vantage points, slants, if you will, to the way that we understand and interpret.
Yep.
I like
Yeah.
that.
That's why we do this. Well, we do it, one, because we want to learn and grow.
Yes.
Two, because we want to encourage others to learn and grow in the Word of God. But yeah, cool. So today we're on chapter 46 of Genesis. When you move, I move.
Just like that.
Yeah. And we're going to start reading verses 1 through 4. And those read as follows. So Israel took his journey with all that he had and came to Beersheba and offered sacrifices to the God of his father Isaac. And God spoke to Israel in visions of the night and said, Jacob, Jacob. And he said, Here I am. Then he said, I am God, the God of your father. Do not be afraid to go down to Egypt, for there I will make you a great nation. I myself will go down with you to Egypt, and I will also bring you up again. In Joseph's hand shall close your eyes. Man. So the story continues. They are now making the trip back with all of the, I wonder, so Benjamin probably got there, washed his clothes.
Yep.
Now he's got 5 changes for the way back too, so he's changing every other day.
Mhm.
But the wagons have come, they're bringing everything back. But I didn't look at a map, but the way this is written, it almost makes it seem like there's a detour to go to this place of Beersheba.
Mm-hmm.
What do we see going on in these first couple of verses?
Well, first of all, okay, so let's go to how God spoke to him in a vision of the night.
Mhm.
So a dream. I thought that was interesting because God has been speaking to Joseph in dreams, or he's been giving him giving him dreams to, that wound up playing out. But I thought that was cool, and I thought what really hit my heart in these scriptures was that Joseph his hand would close his eyes. Well, basically, he'll be there when he dies, which is good because in previous scriptures, Joseph talked about like with the stress and all of this of Benjamin, him losing. First of all, he lost Joseph, then having to take Benjamin and being stressed out with the sons. Like, are you guys gonna bring him back? And it was like we were talking about death in a way that's like, you guys are going to stress me out. This is going to kill me.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're talking about it like he's going to go be with Joseph to see his son who he's missed all this time. And he's going to close your eyes. Like, you will die in peace, like being able to see your son and have that burden lifted off of you after all this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My thing from the end of 45 is we keep switching his name. Like, sometimes it's Jacob, sometimes it's Israel. And I'm like, why? Why do we keep going back and forth? Normally, well, yeah, I think normally the names stick. Like, if God gives you a new name, it kind of sticks. And now God is the one changing. Like, they said Israel, and then God says Jacob.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting to me.
Yeah. I think it's interesting when the narrator makes the call. And you're right, God did rename Jacob to Israel after wrestling with him. But I find it fitting that now it's Israel taking the journey, almost like the representation of Israel itself going.
I can see that.
So this is one of the places where I think it's like, okay, Israel is there for a reason, right? It's not just. And maybe we'll talk about this in the episode that we have just to discuss. But there's a camp that talks about two different writings that have been merged into one to give us Genesis and some of the other books of the Torah, right? The first 5 books of the Bible. The J and the E. I think there's a third one. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but sometimes people try to attribute when the writer talks about Israel or whether the writer's talking about Jacob, they try and attribute it to those J and E writings that have been sort of mashed up to give us this. So in there, this is one of the items that refutes them, because in this same couple of verses, I'm talking about Israel took the journey, but then I'm calling him Jacob, which was as God is saying. So I don't necessarily agree with the J and E, just to state that that is a concept that's out there around Genesis, that there's a Jehoist version and an Elohist version, right? Jehovah and Elohim.
Yeah.
So wait, Israel's a nation, right? A people.
Becomes, right?
They become a nation.
Yeah.
So he says, I will make you into a great nation.
Uh-huh.
So maybe that's the tie together, like a foreshadowing kind of thing. I was confused too, but it didn't seem to be too controversial because we never touched on it. So I was like, maybe that's just like something it just is. It's not something that's too deep or has any other meaning. Because I was confused while we were bouncing back and forth.
Yeah. Well, so let's take this. So Israel is a nation to come.
Okay.
Israel is also the name that God gave to Jacob, meaning that to strive with, right? Jacob strove, if that's a word, strived, whatever the word is, with God when they wrestled. And after that wrestling match, when Jacob thought he was doing something, and God was like, all right, look, tap, and his hip went out of joint. Then he changed his name to Israel. And I think that is a foreshadowing of the Israel nation, because what we see, and maybe we can talk about it now, because what we'll see, it started with Abraham, because the promise was given to Abraham in Genesis 12, right? I will make you a great nation. Go to the land that I'm going to show you. Didn't even tell him where it was. Just go to a land that I'm going to show you. And he made all of these promises. I'll be with you. I'll make you a great nation. I'll bless those who bless you. I'll curse those who curse you. So the whole time that we're walking through this, particularly in Genesis, we're like, okay, where and when is this great nation? Because Abraham is old. His wife is old. They don't even have a kid. How are they going to be a nation? Right? So, boom, Abraham does some stuff, has Ishmael, but Ishmael's not the one that God promised him.
Yeah.
The one that the seed that God promises to Abraham is Isaac, who he has with Sarah. Right? So now we get to Isaac and we're like, boom, great nation, right? Because it's carrying down. And God tells Isaac the same thing. I'll make you a great nation. I promised this to your father Abraham. Okay, when's it happening?
Yeah.
When do we see it? Isaac has 2 kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
Esau and Jacob,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so now we're down to Jacob. Jacob's name gets changed to Israel. And we'll see this in the genealogy. Are we starting to see the
nation.
genesis of this great nation?
Okay.
Are we starting to see their actual birth that's gone down through these 3 generations that God promised to Abraham? And now we're starting to see, we're going to see in Jacob. So the promise that was made is still there. That's why I think he talks about a great nation, right? Because I promise is that's one thing when we talk about God, we call him immutable, meaning that he doesn't change, because it's beautiful, because we know that he is always consistent in who he is.
Right.
He's not going to tell us and give us a promise or say that something's going to happen and not have it happen.
Right.
1, he's powerful enough to do it. 1, 2, he knows enough to make sure it happens. 3, he's a God of sovereignty, as we've seen here. He's a God of providence. So there's nothing that you can do or anyone can do that can take out of the plan that God has. So if God says, I'm going to do this, we can stand on the fact that he's going to do this. When God said to Abraham, I'm going to make you a great nation, we can stand on it.
Right.
When and how, we don't know.
Okay.
Right? So we've been looking for this nation since Abraham.
Okay.
And now he's been repeating it to Isaac. He's repeated it to Jacob, and he's still affirming it here.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Woo, that was a lot.
I'm about to ask you something else.
Okay.
Okay, so they go
I might
to
have an answer.
they go to Beersheba,
Yeah.
and he's going there to offer sacrifices to pray to God, I guess. We talked about God being with Joseph,
Yes.
but then we see here kind of that prayer is not the same as we see it today, right? We have the Holy Spirit. We pray through Jesus, right?
Mm-hmm.
But here, is it that he has to go to a certain place to make this sacrifice to be able to connect with God, or is it just he wanted to do this?
My thought is that he wanted to do this. I think Beersheba held a special place in the whole path of that family that we just discussed. Because you can go back and read in Genesis, and I believe it says that Abram was there. And then it will also say something about Isaac being there and building a temple. I mean, not a temple, but an altar.
Okay.
And I think even Jacob himself went to Beersheba at one point. I think it's one place where he made the rocks into a pillow and laid his head down and had a vision there. I think it was a vision of the ladder that he had there, right? He saw the Lord at the top of the ladder that was extending all the way down to earth.
Oh.
So I think that Beersheba has a special place. And that's why I said, I think it's a detour that he wanted to take. I have a couple of reasons why I think he wanted to take this detour. I think, 1, Canaan is the place where Israel is supposed to be, right? And I'm not going to foot stomp this, but this is what I think. I think Canaan is a place that was promised, right, by God to these people. So he's now leaving this area, and so it's almost like, I'm wondering, right, if there's some consternation going on, like, we're supposed to be here, but now I'm going to Egypt. Mm-hmm. I'm going because I have the idea, and if it's as bad as everyone is saying it is, we may not survive 5 years here, but we have a better chance of survival in Egypt. I think that's one thing. Second reason I think there may be consternation is because Egypt, and you see it a lot more in Exodus, is not really regarded as to what you were saying earlier, like America, people see it and you'll go there and you'll see Michael Jackson. I don't think that Egypt is that type of place. I think that, I don't know if you all have noticed, but whenever we talk about Egypt, and he even says it here, go down. You go down to Egypt. You go down. I don't know whether that means elevation or, like I say, I go up north or down south. But I also wonder if that has some indication as to how Egypt is viewed in terms of being aligned with God,
That makes
right?
okay.
Because he says, you'll go down to Egypt, and then it says, I will bring you up again out of Egypt, right?
Mm.
So Egypt isn't this good place. And one thing is that when Abraham went to Egypt, Abraham, in his smartness, told Sarah, who must have been a looker, like, don't tell them that, you know, we're married, that you're my wife.
Mm-hmm.
Tell them that you are my sister. So what happens? Pharaoh at the time's like, oh, okay, Sarah, I see you. I see what you're working with. You gonna come stay with me. And then God's got to deal with him. And he goes back to Abraham and says, you almost got us caught out there, because there can be and should be no question as to this promised son to Abraham that God made. There should be no question as to, hey, this may be Pharaoh's son. No, this is the son that God gave to Abraham and Sarah in their old age.
Yeah.
Right? Same thing, similar thing with Jesus and his birth, right? Because when you think about it, it's a little different circumstance in the fact that she was with child, and Joseph is like, yeah, that wasn't me though. So I'm gonna have to, like, privately, right? He was being gracious and gentlemanly, privately put you aside. But it also says, when you read through there, that he did not know her until after Jesus was born. Because, again, this is not Joseph's child. Joseph is Jesus' stepfather, basically.
Yeah.
This is a child that came from God, the Holy Spirit, hovering over Mary so that she might conceive. So there's no mistake about, well, Jesus could be Joseph's son. Joseph is like, no, I didn't touch her.
Yeah.
Until Jesus was born. Right? So I think that too, Egypt is weird because that happened to Abraham, and then I believe that it was Isaac who was told not to go to Egypt during the famine. So now I think there may be some consternation in Jacob's mind, like, are we about to go to Egypt? Then let me stop and, set up an altar and do some sacrifice before I go down. That's what I think is happening here.
Oh my God.
And that's why I think it's happening.
Makes sense.
Right? Yeah. Whoa, that was insane. I need to start looking more into how all this stuff ties together, because there's ties everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
The lineage, I can't wait to go through it. Are we going to go through the whole, like,
back
to Abraham and go down?
We
can do it like just us, but I want to see that
in a season,
maybe.
Okay.
Or just run through it, because I want to know it for myself.
So, if you all, we're toying with next season now and what that's going to look like, right?
Yeah.
So in the comments, something you
know.
want to see. Is this good?
Yeah.
Because I like that idea too. We've come up with some other ideas about just focusing on different women in Scripture, right? For next season. Let us know what you want to see out there.
Yeah.
And we'll see what we can do to make it happen. And then don't forget to give you all a third name too, Gen XYZers and XYZers. That'll make Moyo happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm gonna clip this exact section and post it.
All right. So I think that's why he stopped up at Beersheba. The vision, though, is crazy to me.
Really?
When your mom or your dad or one of your parents ever call you, how do you know when they're serious?
They call my full name.
They be like, Christopher. If you don't get your tail in here right now. That's what God is doing with Jacob. Whenever God says somebody's name twice, it's like, you need to hear me.
Really?
Yep. When you think about it, think of also in Samuel, when God called Samuel, he called him twice. He called him 3 times, and each time he said Samuel, Samuel, I believe. So there's something he's trying to get Jacob's attention. And even Jesus in the New Testament, whenever there's something he wants you to hear, I got a couple more ideas of things being repeated twice. He says, verily, verily, truly, truly, pay attention. in Genesis, when when God told them, don't eat of the fruit in the midst of the garden, the tree, don't eat of the tree in the midst of the garden, the fruit of the tree in the midst of the garden. He's basically saying, you shall die. Dying, you shall die. Like, no mistaking what's going to happen if you eat this tree, if you eat from this tree.
Yeah, hear me good.
So whenever things are repeated, even names, I think it's like, boom, pay attention. I'm trying to get your attention. And what is Jacob's response?
Here I am.
Is there any other response that we should have as believers?
No.
God comes to you, Moyo, in a dream, and it's like, Moyo. You're gonna be like, not right now, Lord. I'm good. I'm sleeping. It's 4 a.m. Not right now.
No.
No.
Yes, God. Yes.
So whenever people are called in Scripture, also pay attention to how they respond.
Yeah.
Because Mary says the same thing. Here I am. I believe. Yeah.
And that's what I can't remember. There was the story with the sons, and his sons were bad, so he had the little boy and the God,
Samuel.
yeah. So calling him, and he's like, "Hey, go back and next time say this."
Yep. And he said,
I have
Here
terrible
I am.
memory. I know the ideas of stuff. But
Yeah,
names are crazy.
I'm impressed that you were like, yeah, his sons were bad.
I know the whole story. I just don't know people's names.
Hophni, I can't remember the other one's name, but one of them was named Hophni.
Mm.
So his response is, here I am. And what does God do with Jacob?
He assures him.
Yeah.
He says, "I'm gonna go before you."
I will go before you.
Yeah.
Isn't that reassuring?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, we see that with Joseph, right? Because we see that God was with Joseph in everywhere that he went.
Yeah.
But we're also seeing that reiterated to Jacob. And I want to say that Jacob, particularly when he was going to reunite with Esau, I think it was there that he was like, I need you to go with me, God. Because if you don't go with me, I think he was getting ready to think about making the journey and leaving his father-in-law's house, the father of Rachel and Leah. And he's like, before, you have to go with me wherever I go. And I think this is reassurance, just as you said, that I'm still going with you. You're going down to Egypt, I'm still going there with you.
Yeah.
It reiterates the promise. I am the God of your father. Do not be afraid to go down to Egypt, for there I will make you a great nation. We talked about that. I myself will go down with you to Egypt. We talked about that. And I will also bring you up again. Touched on that a little bit. But eventually they're going to get called back out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this isn't your permanent place of residence.
Temporary. Only temporary.
I'm trying to open any wounds, Moyo, but you were like, this was just a farewell party. We'll be back. And, right?
Yeah.
But in this case, God is saying, I will bring you up again.
Yeah.
I'll bring you back out of this place. You're not going to permanently be there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's interesting. I think my dad always has talked about going back too. Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see if that's where life takes him.
Maybe. Genesis 46 verses 5 and 7.
Genesis 46, 5-7. Then Jacob set out from Beersheba. The sons of Israel carried Jacob their father, their little ones, and their wives in the wagons that Pharaoh had sent to carry him. They also took their livestock and their goods, which they had gained in the land of Canaan, and came into Egypt, Jacob and all his offspring with him, his sons and his sons' sons with him, his daughters and his sons' daughters. All his offspring he brought with him into Egypt.
Yes.
Everybody.
Bringing the whole misbooker. Everybody.
Yes.
Even the goods.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we forget about how much, and I think it came across in the present, but how much Jacob actually has. Right? That family, Israel, actually has. It's not like they're overflowing with bunch of stuff, and that they'll leave Egypt in about 400 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
But he's probably got a good amount of stuff.
Yeah.
And even after Pharaoh was like, don't worry about your goods.
Yeah.
He's like, nah, I'm taking my stuff with me.
I don't know y'all like that.
I remember when my wife's grandmother moved in for a bit, and we would talk, and we was like, she got a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What's she going to do with all this stuff? Because we know she's not leaving it. She wound up putting it in storage.
Mm-hmm.
And the room that she was in was packed to the gills with all sorts of knickknacks and stuff. But yeah, that was a thing, because people, when they amass stuff, they don't like to leave it.
Oh,
They don't.
They don't like to leave it.
I would consider myself an organized hoarder.
An organized
Because
hoarder.
I also will not let anything go.
I am queen. Throw it away.
Oh, no.
I don't like stuff. I throw things away so quickly.
It's got to be gone.
Yeah.
Like my wife in that regard.
Yeah.
I'd be like, no, I need that.
For
No, you don't.
what?
When's the last time you wore it? I don't know. It's going in the trash. But no.
Every once in a while, I do get caught where I threw something away, and my husband be like, "I told you," because I'm looking for it, and I'm like, "It's okay, I get another one. It's fine."
Yeah. I mean, but for me, sometimes it's stuff that has sentimental value. So even if I haven't worn it, somebody gave it to me.
Right.
Take a picture of it.
And I feel weird throwing the stuff away that people gave me.
Take a
Yes.
picture of it.
It's not the same.
It is though,
It's
because you
not.
just want to look at it. You can look at it on the picture.
It's
I be
not.
wanting to pull it out and be like, oh man, I
I
remember.
remember when this happened.
Yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely not. There's so much stuff that I want to throw away, but I feel like there's stuff that Jess has given me, and she's one of those sentimental people, and I'm like, I don't throw all this away. But if she gonna ask me one day, and I'm gonna be like, so I already told her that I'm planning to take pictures and then throw them away. And she was like, okay, I can accept that, but you could just give it to me. And I was like, I could do that.
Yeah.
But then she would then be hoarding more stuff, and I don't want her to hoard stuff.
Yeah.
She's protecting you from yourself.
I am. I actually am.
Oh man. So anything else on those couple of verses? I think the big takeaway is everything's coming.
Yep.
Yeah, everything.
Everything and
Nothing
everyone.
left behind.
Yep. Nothing left behind.
And no more back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the livestock, everything that they would have to take care of.
Yep.
People and animals.
Yep. So now we are about to go on a journey. We're going to read. I'm going to read. I've been designated.
Uh-huh.
You can put a little light music on the background when you read this part.
That'd be so funny.
That would be.
That would be
I'd have to find. Okay, we'll figure that out. So verses 8 through 15 of, actually 8 through 25.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Of actually no, 8 through 27. Because I think we'll read the 26 and 27 in here and talk about those last two verses.
Mm-hmm.
So I will attempt to read this. Woo. Y'all sure y'all don't want to read this?
Positive.
You could stop at 25.
Okay. It reads as follows. Now these are the names of the descendants of Israel who came into Egypt. Jacob and his sons, Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, and the sons of Reuben, Hanak, Palu, Herzon, and Carmi. The sons of Simeon, Jemuel, Jamin, Ohad, Jachin, Zohar, and Shaul, the son of a Canaanite woman. The sons of Levi, Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. The sons of Judah, Onan, Shelah, Perez, and Zerah. But and Onan died in the land of Canaan. And the sons of Perez were Herzon and Hamul. The sons of Issachar, Tola, Puva, Yob, and Shimron. The sons of Zebulun, Sered, Elon, Jalil. These sons are the sons of Leah, whom she bore to Jacob in Padan Aram, together with his daughter Dinah. Altogether, his sons and his daughters numbered 33. So there's 33 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Woo. Including Dinah. Verse 16. The sons of Gad, Ziphion, Haggai, or Hagi, rather, Shuni, Esbon, Eri, Arodi, and Areli. The sons of Asher, Imnah, Ishva, Ishvi, Beriah, with Sarah, their sister. And the son of Beriah, Heber, and Malchiel. These are the sons of Zilpah, whom Laban gave to Leah, his daughter, and these she bore to Jacob, 16 persons. Verse 19, the sons of Rachel, Jacob's wife, Joseph, and Benjamin. And to Joseph in the land of Egypt were born Manasseh and Ephraim, whom Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, the priest of On, bore to him. And the sons of Benjamin, okay, here we go, Bela, Becher, Asbel, Gera, Naaman, Ehi, Rosh, Mupin, Hupim, and Ard. These are the sons of Rachel who were born to Jacob, 14 persons in all. The sons of Dan, Hushim, the sons of Naphtali, Jazil, Guni, Jezer, and Shilem. These are the sons of Bilhah, whom Laban gave to Rachel, his daughter, and these she bore to Jacob, 7 persons in all. And I'll read 26 through and 27 as well. All the persons belonging to Jacob who came into Egypt, who were his own descendants, not including Jacob's sons' wives, were 66 persons in all. And the sons of Joseph who were born to him in Egypt were 2. All the persons of the house of Jacob who came into Egypt were 70. Now that is a mouthful, but it's a lot of jokers.
Yeah.
They were, so I mean, they were a real big family though.
Yeah.
20 years has passed. So when we look at Benjamin as being the youngest, I mean, he was out here doing some things because he had a good bunch of kids, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But these are grown folk.
Yeah.
Yeah, sheesh.
So 66 persons in all.
Yeah.
And all the persons. So hold on, let me read that again. So all the persons belonging to Jacob who came into Egypt, who were his own descendants, not including Jacob's sons' wives, were 66 persons in all. And the sons of Joseph who were born to him in Egypt were 2. All the persons of the house of Jacob who came into Egypt were 70.
Yeah. All right,
It's a math. I'm lost.
Okay.
I don't get it.
I read Jacob's sons' wives as we're not counting Jacob because we didn't count anybody's wife. So we're not counting Jacob because he didn't go down. So he's not part of the 66. He was already there, right? Mm-hmm. So okay. I'm saying, and then
you mean
in the
Joseph?
Joseph, yes, Joseph.
Okay.
Sorry. Ooh. Joseph. Well, we're not counting Jacob either.
That may be where I'm missing it.
Yeah, we're not counting Jacob either because they're saying let me read the exact words. All persons belonging to Jacob. I don't think he counts.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Ah, okay.
So not him and not Joseph.
Okay.
And then, of course, not Joseph's sons. But we would still be missing one if we don't count Dinah.
Right.
So I counted her.
Yeah.
Because
and they said it, right? Because she's part of the 33 from the whole Leah.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird because they said 33. Right. But if you count, what are the 2 that died?
Yeah.
That makes 33. So you would have to take them out and then add Dinah. That gives you 32. And that's how you get to 66. So it's 32 plus, because I wrote it down. I was like, I get it. It makes sense to me. It was like 32 plus all the other numbers you put. 32 plus 16 plus 14 plus 7. Yeah. And that's how I got it.
That's how you got 66.
Yep. I can follow that.
Okay, 32 plus 16 plus 11 plus 7 equals 66. And I wrote don't count Jacob because it says that belong to
him.
Jacob. And then you add in Joseph,
Okay.
Jacob, and the 2 sons, you get to 70.
Okay, that makes sense.
The math is mathing.
Yeah.
Maths to me.
I was like, I'm not something, because I think I was counting Jacob.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I included Dinah and excluded
didn't take
and Onan. I don't know. I just wasn't getting it. So,
Yeah.
but that makes sense.
I was doing the addition and subtraction as we were talking. So I was like, okay, so when they mentioned Onan and I was like, okay, so they're included. But then they made mention specifically that they died. So I'm like, okay, take them out, subtract them. And then Dinah, you add her back in. Okay, I'm following.
Yeah, it's just weird that they said 33.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, it was weird that they said 33 to me. But they were counting the sons.
Okay.
But then they didn't count Dinah, but they said to count Dinah.
Yeah.
So they counted her in the 66. Well, I think they counted her in the 66, but not in the 33.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Okay. All right.
Very.
Cool.
To me. It's weird to me.
So it's 70 people now in Egypt that are of
70 plus, because we keep forgetting about women and daughters.
Yep.
Well, yeah.
There's only one woman counted.
I thought there were 2. Shera?
Is there? Their sister.
Yeah. Sarah, their sister. So the sons of Gad in verse.
So are we
17.
not counting in-laws then?
No.
Is that what's happening?
No one,
because they don't belong to. So we're saying all these people only have sons, except for that one daughter.
Except for 2, Dinah and Sarah.
Yeah. That's a lot of sons.
I know.
That is.
I read that too, and I was like, and why mention those 2? Dinah, I get mentioning Dinah because she played heavy in a previous story, so I don't think you can leave her out. And we'll see this later. I think that's why Jacob still has some stuff with Simeon and Levi that he's got to call him out on. But I don't remember Sarah, their sister, being mentioned anywhere. So I'm like, I get Dinah, including her because of the story. I don't quite understand Sarah. So that may be something that we can do is just later. Yeah, look up anything about her to see if that's a reason she was included. Because to your point, I'm like, man, that's a lot of sons. And they mentioned 2 daughters. Is that all the daughters he had?
I feel like it can't be.
Well, I was counting, like, how I made sense of it in my mind was bloodline. We're only counting sheer bloodline. So, like, would he have stepdaughters? Or, like, daughters that were born of, like, brothers and sisters having, like, something else going on?
Nah, I don't. I mean, he's got 12 kids and basically four wives in a sense. If he took on another one, then yeah, he's crazy. But I don't know. There's no record of it.
Yeah,
so I'm not sure.
It could also be daughters marry into other families. So maybe they aren't counted, and maybe Dinah's the only daughter that's still like not married off.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, and yeah, that makes sense because that's the whole Tamar Judah thing, and when Judah sent Tamar back to live with their family when she was supposed to be with Judah, and taken care of there. So yeah, that's a good point. That's a
lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
So we only have one like set of what are they? These are his kids, his grandkids, and then he only has the one set of great grandkids at this point that we're counting.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. They's grown.
Yeah.
They having kids and grandkids and the whole shebang. So it's like, I mean, you think back to. We're spending more time on the genealogy than I thought we were. It's cool. I like it. But you think back to Joseph, and when we met him, he was 17.
Yeah.
So he wasn't married. I don't more than likely know because, he married Aseneth. But Benjamin, who was younger than him, he probably 15, 16 maybe.
Mm-hmm. His own kids.
So yeah, they
In
grown
20 years, he
in
had
20 years.
10 kids.
But think about it. At this point, he's now roughly, if he was 15, 20 years ago, right? Taking the low end of the spectrum, he's 35 now.
35 with 10 kids is a lot.
I mean,
He started at 15.
you got to remember back in the South, and
Yeah.
I'm about to show my Gen X here. I think Gen X is the first generation where there were not the same number of kids as the previous generation. My mom and my dad has 11 siblings in total. My mom has 9.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they
Parents are
only
like
have
that.
2.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, what y'all do to us? Y'all robbed us. I'm supposed to have a whole bunch of folk.
Yeah. My parents are like that. And I would say my grandma had a lot of kids. Like she started having kids as a teen, like maybe 13, 14, like really, really young.
Really young.
So
yeah,
it can happen.
It can happen. Yeah.
And I guess he's not the one pushing them out. He don't care.
Right.
He don't care.
Oh man, I'm not going to touch that one. But yeah. So I don't think it's crazy that he would have that many kids. I mean, that's what be fruitful and multiply.
Right.
Yeah.
Did his job.
And boom. And Joseph and Benjamin, rather, they multiplied.
Mm-hmm.
So, anything else on the genealogy?
That was really interesting, though.
Yeah.
Seeing how everybody, like all the ties.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And these are the 12 tribes of Israel. We see them right here.
Wow.
So once we were talking earlier, we start to wonder where and when. These are the 12 tribes of Israel, from Reuben all the way down to Benjamin.
Wow.
All right. Genesis 46, verses 28 through 34.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Genesis 46, 28 to 34. He had sent Judah ahead of him to Joseph to show the way before him to Goshen, and they came into the land of Goshen. Then Joseph prepared his chariot and went up to meet Israel his father in Goshen. He presented himself to him and fell on his neck and wept in his neck a good while. Israel said to Joseph, "Now let me die, since I have seen your face and know that you are still alive." Joseph said to his brothers and to his father's household, "I will go up and tell Pharaoh, and will say to him, my brothers and my father's household, who were in the land of Canaan, have come to me." Verse 32. And the men are shepherds, for they have been keepers of livestock, and they have brought their flocks and their herds and all that they have. When Pharaoh calls you and says, "What is your occupation?" you shall say, "Your servants have been keepers of livestock from our youth, even until now, both we and our fathers, in order that you may dwell in the land of Goshen. For every shepherd is an abomination to the Egyptians."
So we get Jacob and Joseph seeing each other for the first time.
Yeah.
Did that still tug at people's heartstrings?
Of course it does. It made me happy.
Yeah.
For that
Happy
reunion.
tears.
Yeah.
Oh man. Anybody else notice that Judas sort of still seems to be playing the lead role?
Yes, I was thinking that immediately. I thought about that. I was like, "Where's Reuben?" Because they're all together now. So, why? But I think, well, how you said last time, I think he's taken a step back now. He's tried what he could try in that circumstance with what was it?
Take my grandkids.
Take your
grandkids.
He tried to help in his way of helping, presenting to his father. He was dismissed, and I think that after that he's taken a back seat.
Yeah.
So now I'm kind of like trying to change my mentality, like older brother, what you doing? And now like whoever is willing to step up and be responsible, that's who it should be. And Judah did that. So now I'm like, okay, you have taken on the mantle.
Yeah.
It's you now.
Yeah. And that's a carryover from the previous 2 chapters,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Judah stepped up, and boom, now he's still stepping up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Makes me wonder if he gets called on to be like, all right, Judah, you lead the way, or whether he does it on his own, or I'm just wondering the dynamic, right?
Right.
Being again leader philosophy. Um, did, did Jacob say to Judah, "Lead us," or does Judah just be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna take the lead"?
He said he had sent
Right.
Judah.
Right.
So yeah.
So sometimes I don't think that Reuben is just out of the question, right? Sometimes I look at it as Judah is, or not Judah, Reuben is, he has a place leading, he could be ahead of his family, right?
Yeah,
so
of
the
course.
second would be the one to go. That's how I was seeing it. Like, as the leader and as the protector of my family, I can't go ahead of y'all because I have to protect y'all. Maybe.
Judah's got a family too,
Okay.
though.
But I'm saying,
Well.
after Jacob is Reuben.
okay.
And
protecting
Jacob
the whole
is
family.
frail. Like, he's ready to die. So the next person that is the protector of the family and guiding the family, because they just said he sent. Where are we getting? Who is he?
I think
Jacob?
he is
I
Jacob.
thought so.
The
Okay.
antecedent for that would be all the persons of the house of Jacob who came into Egypt were 70. So the focus there is Jacob.
Yeah.
So I think it's Jacob who sent him.
Yeah. I mean, I could see it both ways. I feel like I don't want to just be like, dang, Reuben, you ain't doing your job no more. Like, I feel like maybe his job is where he is.
I don't know. I think Reuben let the older siblings down.
Yeah.
As a fellow second oldest sibling who be doing older sibling stuff,
Oh,
I
God.
get it. Like, sometimes the second oldest is just more equipped to do the leadership roles.
Okay. I could. Yeah.
And it's okay. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, I'm not gonna be like, my sister don't lead, my sister don't do, like, it's just, it is what it is. It's not her, like, it's just not her place. Like, she just doesn't fall in that place seamlessly as I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Judah is like, I got it.
Yep.
Like, they follow me. It's fine. It is what it is.
I want to revisit this discussion when we get to the blessings.
Okay.
Mm.
All right. So just keep that in mind. All right, cool. They go to Goshen. Joseph, can you imagine? My imagination is crazy. It's like Joseph pulls up in a new whip, his new ride in the chariot. Like, yeah, look at me. I know I always be trying to make Joseph out to be a little non-humble, and Moyo's got to correct me and say, but he humble though.
He do.
I know he is, but
he shouldn't be. Let me not say that. Scratch that from the record. We all should be humble.
Yes, we should.
But flex a little bit. Flex.
I thought this was a little flex. I'm like, and knowing me, I'd have my Christian hip hop blaring. Like, yo, what up, Pops? You see what your boy done did? But yeah, so Joseph comes up, and the meeting, you touched on it.
Yeah. Just going back,
tearjerker.
I would say, going back really quick, I thought it was an interesting detail that they didn't know where they were going yet.
Yeah.
I just, like, you just said, go get my dad, and didn't tell him where y'all were coming back to.
Yeah, I mean, it's not.
Or maybe he had to find out from Pharaoh what
Had
land.
to find out where to go. Yeah.
And that goes back to our, is Goshen is Goshen a place, or is it a description for a type of place? Like,
yeah, that's what I thought. I kind of, if it's on a map, then it's a place, right? But I thought it was just like something that you, like, okay, this is a weird example, but my sister calls her school her turtle shell on the map. When I look her up, she's an iPhone, and when I look for her location, it says turtle shell. Turtle shell is not a place.
yeah.
Okay.
But it's a place. You know
Right,
what I'm
got
saying?
you.
So, like, that's how I thought about Goshen.
Okay.
Yeah. And I read where they were saying that it is, the description just means like a land of plenty, or like a fruitful land. So maybe it's just like, Pharaoh said he's going to give us the most fruitful land. Where is that?
Right.
Or which one does he want to give us?
Right.
Yeah, I get that.
Because otherwise, why can't you tell us where we're going from jump?
Right.
Yeah, maybe. I just find it. I'm struggling with the fact that because this place had to be picked out because of the livestock. I mean, Joseph gives this whole thing as to why they need to go to this place. It's separated enough from Egypt. Egypt can't be around the livestock for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm struggling with. I guess it could still be turtle shell, right?
Right.
And still be separate, right?
Right.
So okay. I don't know. There's something else maybe to look up, but I always look at it as a place, and maybe that's just because I've also been through Exodus, and it's called out in Exodus as a place. So that might be it, and I'm just sort of carrying that forward. So okay, I'll take that.
We'll do a deeper dive, and we'll look at it in Exodus and see, is it the same?
Is it the same place? Yeah. I think that's a good idea. Okay, very good, very good.
I also found it interesting, the response that they were told to say if they were asked about occupation.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really understand it at first. I had to read it a couple of times. But when it says at the bottom, for every shepherd is an abomination to the Egyptians, is that something they have to say because they can't be close to them and they have to be like in a separate area anyway? So it's just a cover, I guess.
And this is also the second time where it's like, we don't like these people.
Yeah.
But you're bringing them to these people that don't like you.
Right. Isn't that weird? Yeah.
Or is it setting the stage for future?
But see, yeah, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I would say so that we know why there was this divide.
I'm going to give my thoughts.
Okay.
I'm not going to claim that I was watching the campaign, and at the end of the campaign, the person's got to come in and say, "I am such and such, and I endorse this," or "I right
approve this message."
I approve this message.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to half approve this message.
Okay. Okay.
Because you bring up a good point, and I think it goes back to the seating arrangement.
Okay.
Because whenever I see something like that, not the order in which the brothers of Joseph were sat, but the seating arrangement in that you've got, and everybody, I'm convinced that everybody knows that Joseph is a Hebrew, but he's elevated. So I get this picture of Joseph sitting in one place. All the Egyptians by birth, ethnicity, are sitting somewhere. And now Joseph's brothers are sitting in this third area. So it's like three separate things, right? And again, I think even there, Egyptians don't fraternize with Hebrews because of livestock. So they don't sit with them and eat with them and deal with them. And so again, for whatever reason, I don't know why, but the Egyptians don't deal with people who raise animals.
But they eat animals.
Because they eat them.
That's what I was gonna ask. Like, don't they eat that? If they didn't, I would understand. Like that makes perfect sense. It's like when you need something that's kosher, right? You can't have it. You have to keep those things completely separate. But if not, what's your reasoning?
Yeah.
Well, it has to be something else.
Yeah. It's got to be something else, something culturally with Egypt, where they don't like to have those things mixed.
Is it like their cleanliness?
It could be. It could be their cleanliness. That's the first thing that came into my head was they didn't want to be associated with what was needed to upkeep animals, so cleanliness and having to clean up after them and stuff like that. But they definitely had cattle because even in the plagues in Exodus, right, the cattle died. And it wasn't just the cattle in Goshen.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, in Pharaoh's dreams, is the cattle skinny?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know why, but this Genesis makes a point of showing the separation here. And then again, Joseph's superpower, he's like, tell them you're this so that you can be sort of set off on your own to continue to thrive.
Yeah.
So I think that's why he's telling them and saying, you're hurt. You are shepherds You deal with animals, and that's going to make them say, we can't hang out with you.
Right.
But it brings up the good question of, why do they rock with Joseph like they do?
Right. But I don't think that, like, when we said before a little while back, I think it might have been the last episode. Joseph hasn't hidden himself.
Yeah.
So nothing about him is not known.
Yeah.
I think it's just because everything that he has been a gem to them thus far, interpreting the dreams, things have been, they have food. They are living because of him.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to condemn somebody who's helping save your life.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of goes back to, I don't know what episode, but the episode we were talking about, this particular Pharaoh may not have been as strict, right? And so even having the brothers eat with them, is that normal? Like, would you even have them in your house if you consider them
Unclean,
like, yeah.
Or better yet, would you even be excited to accept them into your culture?
Yeah.
Right.
Because I think you brought this up early on when we started talking about pharaohs, that not every pharaoh was like a native Egyptian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's like, is he so accepting of Joseph because he's not a native Egyptian?
Yeah.
So he's willing to have Joseph be the lead and take on that role and easily accept outsiders like Joseph, who can't really even be around Egyptians because of the fact that they deal with livestock.
Yeah.
That's why I wouldn't foot stomp it like, yeah, he's definitely not of Egyptian ethnicity.
And he could also be like maybe a half breed. Like maybe he's somebody who's mixed in some way, where I'm Egyptian enough to have the title of Pharaoh, but I also have, maybe I have family that's other things. So I'm all right with it.
Yeah. And then when I get to Exodus and I finally meet the Pharaoh who did not know Joseph, who was worried about these Hebrew people taking over, like, because they had become so numerous, like taking up arms and overthrowing Egypt. Maybe he's not I'll call him a sympathizer like that.
Yeah.
Maybe because he may be more pure Egyptian ethnicity, that he's still having these thoughts, as opposed to someone who is either not Egyptian or, has a mother or father who's Egyptian and there's some other ethnicity.
Yeah.
Right?
That makes sense.
So I would half endorse it because there's nothing that really says concretely what's happening. But as I was going through this, I had the same type of thought. Like, he's just so accepting of these people.
Yeah.
Knowing that they don't believe and do the same things that Egyptians do, but I'm still going to give you the land and give you the fat of the land.
Yeah.
The good of the land.
Good.
Did I say something weird?
Good. Yes. No.
We'll let you get away with
Anyways.
it.
All right, that's my Gen X showing. I'm sorry.
That's funny.
So they get, and he tells them what to say, and again, that's Joseph's superpower.
Yeah.
To just be ahead of the game, ahead of the curve, and know what to do and when to do it. So that was chapter 46. Again, we're glad to be here, glad to be doing this. What are you supposed to do? All the liking?
Like, share, subscribe, comment.
Turn on your notification bell.
Yep.
Tell a friend, tell a friend.
Yep.
So, all them buttons, just push them.
Yeah.
All except for the pause.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And make sure you're studying with us. Go back and watch if you've missed any of the episodes.
Yep. Definitely. So with that said, good episode.
Good episode.
We will see you all next time, XYZers.
Hey.
Deuces.
Bye.